Well, it finally happened. We now have three. This is astonishing. Three Supreme Court justices appointed by an asshole, third-rate television game show host / thug / liar / cheat. It's just hard to comprehend. I don't know how much attention I should focus on this. It's a done deal, and short of impeaching Supreme Court justices, which I guess has happened once or twice in the history of this country, Justice Barrett will now be providing judicial interpretations, or constitutional interpretations, I should say, for probably the next 30 years. Long after I'm dead and gone, and depending on your age, perhaps long after you are too. If you are a young person, I was talking to Molly about this. Molly will be in her mid-40s when this Justice Barrett is in her prime. And Molly is 16 right now. It's a frightening situation to contemplate. Now, will Justice Barrett turn out to be the right-wing ideologue, the neo-fascist, anti-justice justice that she is reported to be, that the anticipation is she's going to be like her good friend Antonin Scalia without the humor? I don't know. Whenever I talk about the Supreme Court, I do so reservedly and with a lot of hesitation because I am not familiar enough with that branch of government to really get into it. I know how justices arrive at the Supreme Court. I understand some of the more historical interpretations of the Constitution by the Supreme Court, but I also understand that with the rise of militant, filthy, sick, degenerate, un-Jesus-like Christianity over the past 35 years, that the Supreme Court has simply become a bathtub for these Christian freaks who want to scrub away any indication of justice or dignity or equal rights or human rights and replace it with this effed up Christian so-called ideological garbage, that a woman's body is not her own, it belongs to the man, that justice is fine if you are a person of no color. People of color have been instructed by the Bible to know their place. If you are enslaved, stay enslaved. If you are inferior, stay inferior. Even that asshole, the ghoul, this ghoul that wanders through the Trump administration, Jared Kushner, in that little video clip, mentioned it the other day. Well, President Trump can't elevate and help people more than they want to be elevated and helped. What a racist pig. What a racist pig Jared Kushner is. How horrible. And again, I come at this the wrong way. I believe when I see a conservative Jew like Jared Kushner, I assume that he is going to have the mindset of most Jews that I've met. And that mindset is one of equality under the law, justice. I'm not talking about Israelis. That's a whole different topic. I'm talking about Jews that I have met. And obviously, most of the Jews I've met are American Jews. But their ideology seems to be one of justice, fairness, protection of people who can't protect themselves. I'm talking about protection through justice, equal protection under the law. So when I come across in a manner of speaking, a Jew like Stephen Miller, who is one of Trump's key advisors where it concerns ripping children, the key advisor where it concerns ripping children away from their parents when they show up at our southern border looking for sanctuary. When I come across a Jew like that, I get sick. When I come across a Jew like Jared Kushner, I get sick. Just sick, because they are so unlike and contrary to the belief and ideology that I have become familiar with most of my friends who happen to be Jews. It's hard for me to process that a Jared Kushner or an evil bastard like Stephen Miller are of the same religious philosophy as Ruth Bader Ginsburg, for example. Or some of my friends here in Atlanta. It's just impossible for me to process. The same problem I've had with Christians. I had a mindset about Christians that I grew up with for the most part of my youth that, okay, their belief in a supreme being and that supreme being's human son is contrary to what I believe, but most of the Christians I knew were generous, helping, open-handed, and like their Jewish brothers and sisters, sought justice and peace. And then I came to the South. I came to the South and ran across evangelical Southern Christians who are racist, hate-filled bastards whose primary goal is to teach their children who to hate, who to disrespect, and to whom to deny justice. I'm sorry, that's just been my experience. And it's been a 50-year-long experience. And now I realize that Northern evangelical Christians are the same. There's no difference. You know, you don't have to wear a Confederate battle flag patch on your backpack to indicate that you are a racist, Jesus-murdering freak who claims to be a Christian. You don't have to do that. All you have to do is open your goddamn mouth and start talking about it. And it becomes instantly apparent. Okay, there's my kick in the nuts for the Jews and the Christians today. EOM, all right? Let's move back to Judge Barrett. I'm sorry, Justice Barrett. A new Supreme Court, and I think it was the Times this morning, was talking about over the past 3.5 decades, which is a period that includes the naming of every current Supreme Court justice. Everyone that's there now has been there for about 35 years. But over that period, Democrats and Republicans have each held the White House for 4 terms. How about that? In 6 of those 8 elections, the Democratic candidate won the popular vote. Now, in this report, they're including Hillary Clinton and Al Gore, who were denied the presidency. The former by the U.S. Supreme Court, the latter by the racist electoral college that makes about as much sense as Donald Trump does. But those 2 facts, that in 6 of the last 8 elections, the Democratic candidate won the popular vote, regardless of the fact that Democrats and Republicans have each held the White House for 4 terms each. But those 2 facts offer a pretty good summary of our political makeup, which is we are split pretty evenly between Democratic and Republican voters with sort of a lean towards Democrats. But the Supreme Court? Do you think the Supreme Court now reflects the people of the United States? What was it that was said repeatedly when Merrick Garland, and thanks for Lee in New York, reminded me of the name, for God's sake. When Merrick Garland was nominated by Barack Obama, a conservative Democrat by all indications, Merrick Garland, why is that so difficult, Mike? a conservative Democrat, as Justice or Judge Garland was or is. And the result of the reaction of the Republicans, they went completely apeshit, completely revealed what they are. And every one of them who went apeshit is a professing Christian, which means he or she is a lying son of a bitch. They do not believe in the message put out there by their so-called Messiah. They don't believe a word of it. In addition to the fact that they're liars and hypocrites and deceivers. Everything that their so-called Messiah warned them not to do. Well, okay. So the Supreme Court now has a very different and radically different, or I should say reactionarily different makeup. With the confirmation last night of Judge Barrett, now Justice Barrett, Republican appointed justices hold a 6-3 majority and will probably control the court, like I mentioned a moment ago, for years to come. And it's worth pointing out that the current 6-member majority also happens to be hardcore conservative, ideologically conservative, not politically conservative, not culturally conservative, not socially conservative, but hardcore ideologically conservative. And often quite aggressive. And the members of this court, as evidenced by Uncle Clarence and by Scalia until Jesus took him home or whatever the heck happened to him, they're also willing to substitute their own judgments for that of Congress, for that of the president, for that of state governments, for that of the people of this country on issues like voting rights, on campaign finance, on health care, on consumer protection laws, on workplace law, on and on and on. These now 6 conservative justices, arch-conservative, ridiculously, ideologically conservative justices, have shown over and over again in their actions and with Justice Barrett's, in her case, with her writings, with her pronouncements, with her speeches, that they don't give a shit about voting rights or campaign finance or health care. In fact, if they do care about it, they care about it in a negative sense. How to end voting rights, how to end campaign finance laws, how to destroy health care for 130 million Americans, how to end consumer protection, let the gangsters reign. What the hell? There's one in the White House and a whole group of them on the cabinet. And as far as workplace law, screw the worker. To hell with the worker. They've destroyed the unions. They want plantation slavery, plantation capitalism again. And now they have the wherewithal to deliver it. So what's going to happen now? Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.